What up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for Insecure Season 5, Episode 6. You guys, how many episodes do we have this season? Do we have 4 more episodes left after this? Please let me know in the comment section below. But this is Episode 6. The episode is tired, okay? So this episode was a really good episode. I enjoyed this episode. It was funny, you guys. So before we get into the review, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel and are not yet subscribed to the channel, I'm going to need you guys to do me a big favor. Hit that subscribe button. Stop taking me out on this date. Have me pay for it at the end of it. Like the video, leave your comments, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, and you guys, with that out the way, without further ado, let's discuss Insecure, shall we? I'm going to pick up where the last one left off, or so we thought, right? So you guys remember in the last episode that Issa saw Konnichiwa and Lawrence, right? So they had the baby. So Issa finally went up to them and, Condiments asked her, does she want to hold the baby? And Issa says yes. So we see Commonwealth as she gives Issa the baby. So, so Issa has the baby and she throws the baby like it's a basketball. Fuck these kids. And then she kicks Commonwealth and I'm like, well, damn, right? And Lawrence is like, damn, Issa. She said, you want some too? And then she walks off laughing. But lo and behold, Issa is daydreaming, right? So then she goes on to Lawrence's Instagram and she notices that Lawrence has moved back to LA, right? So then we see Issa and Nathan as they're having sex, right? It was the most cringe-worthy sex scene that I've saw on this show, right? Because Issa was, in the moment, was trying to get Nathan to say to her that he loved her. Because she's like, he was talking about he loved her riding him, right? And she's like, what else do you love? I'm like, Issa, this might not be the perfect time to try to get this man to say he loves you, which we know he doesn't love. I don't think Issa, last week when Issa said I loved you to him, I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a big mistake. I don't think that this man has the capability to reciprocate commitment, right? I don't think he does, right? So then Nathan. So Nathan is at the shop, right? So they're all in the shop talking about this one guy by the name of Suge, right? So Suge is late to the shop. Suge has clients there that are waiting on him. Suge eats people's food. I'm like, oh, hell no. See the type of person, the petty person that I am is I will put on my bag, I scratch my booty, and I touch my food. Want to eat it? Like, I would do something like that. That's the petty person in me. Like, I scratch my booty, I scratch my balls, and I touch my food. So eat at your own risk. Even though I don't do that, but I would just do that to see if but people probably would still eat your food. Or I would say my cat sat on my counter last night while I was making my food. You still want some? Like, people would probably still eat your food, which is the sad part about it, right? It's the really sad part about it. Because people, like, when I used to be in school, people used to, people cough on their food and they be like, ugh, you want some? And people say like, yeah, I still want some. No, they coughed on it. Why would you want that? But that's neither here nor there, right? But they do say, one of the guys at the shop says, well, he did bring in James Harden, so it is what it, so they're trying, it's like, you give all these negatives, but then you get this positive about him. And then, so yeah, I don't know. So let's move on, you guys. So we see Issa. And she's at the hospital with Molly's family. She brought food down there for them, right? So Molly calls to check in on her family because Molly went on that retreat with the company. I'm like, damn. Like, would your company not understand the fact that your mom is in a hospital? But we all know how Molly is. Molly is an overachiever. And sometimes that can be at your detriment, right? Because Molly is having these thoughts and feelings like, what if something happens to her mother and she's not there? Like I said in last week's review about my job, especially when my mom passed, I called them and said, I ain't coming in. Because I was a complete mess. I was a wreck. So I just don't understand how, I know we got to make money, but at what price, right? At what price? I really wish that Molly had been there with her mother, because I just really wish she was there with her mother. Your mother is more important than a job. But hey, it is what it is, right? not really. We see Issa and Koya, right? So Issa and Koya, they're at the magazine stands, right? And they notice in this one magazine that, the calendar has an event with, it has it has the month's events, right? So there's an art walk that's on there. So I'm guessing they're behind this. They didn't go too deep into detail about it. So then we see them, they go and talk to these guys that they're trying to get to be a part of the art walk, right? And they want them to be a face of it, for that water company that she's dealing with, right? Now, she starts talking about the block, right? And then it just goes to show you word of mouth can be good and word of mouth can be bad, right? And in this case, the word of mouth for Issa, it was bad because of what Crenshaw has said, right? So Crenshaw has really put a wrench in Issa's working relationships, with him trolling her on social media and putting out that DM from her. So it's not, so people are not really receptive to wanting to work with Issa just because of the word of mouth, right? So then we move over and we see Molly. So Molly, she and the partners, they're out, right? And, she's checking on her mom. So then they play a game of first impressions, right? And they ask the guy what was his first impression of Molly. He tells what his was, and then she tells what hers was of him, right? And then the others tell what their first impressions of Molly was. She was talking about, DocuSign and all this kind of stuff, right? And she was like, was I that bad? They were like, girl, yes, you were. They're like, well, my old firm had this. They're like, girl, go down to the Starbucks, like what the rest of us do, right? So then the next morning we see Molly. She woke up hung over. It was bottles in the bed and candy and all that kind of stuff. And she looked and saw a watch. So then she goes downstairs with the other partners and she was like, so, I found this watch. It wasn't in my room. It was in the hallway, but it was like kind of in the middle of our, rooms. So whose watch did this belong to? And Tarian was like, that's my watch. She was like, don't tell me that he says, nah, we didn't. So they show her a video where Molly was turned up. Molly was turning up. So she was having a good time, right? So then let's move over back to Issa. So we see Issa. So Issa went down to see Crenshaw, right? And she's going into his place with brownies, trying to, butter people up. Child, ain't nobody want them brownies. So then she goes and talks to Crenshaw and try to give him the brownies, right? Crenshaw ain't really feeling the brownies, right? I'm trying to figure out how I feel about this situation between Issa and Crenshaw, right? Because I can see both sides of the spectrum, right? I can see Issa's side and I can see Crenshaw's side. Crenshaw is the creative. Like, that's his vision. He doesn't want to change up his vision, right? But in order to get into them spaces, which Issa was trying to do, you might have to compromise at first and then slowly introduce your ideas to them. So I can see it on both sides. So I don't really have one side that I'm on. Now, what I will say, however, with Crenshaw is I don't like Crenshaw's approach on social media. That I don't like. But I definitely get his point of view, but I also see Issa's side. I want you guys to drop down in the comments and tell me whose side are you guys on. Are you guys on Issa's side or are you guys on Crenshaw's side? Let's have a conversation about that, right? But Crenshaw was not, he really, really, truly wasn't at all receptive to Issa. So he told Issa she can go. So then let's move back over to the shop, right? So the barbershop. So they're collecting the booth rent, right? So then Suge comes in. They were like, oh, good you here. We collecting booth rent. He was like, oh, my buddy Nate got it for you. Nate was like, come again? He was like, I said you got it, Nathaniel. He's like, what the fuck that mean? He says, because you took my clients. Like, that's not good bit. Like, you don't do shit like that, right? And Nate was like, but your clients have been sitting there for hours. So I'm looking out for our business. So what you want me to do? You come in late. You eat people's food. But then you got an issue about the fact that I cut your clients' hair. Which that is, like, like I told you guys before, my biggest pet peeve is don't waste my time. Like, if I set an appointment with you for 9 o'clock, I'm going to be there at 9:50. That's how I operate. I'm going to get up at 9:30. I'm going to get myself cleaned up and whatnot. If it's a barber appointment, I'm going to get up at 9:30, wash my face, brush my teeth, brush my hair, all that shit, right? I'm going to be out the door because my barber was literally 10 minutes away from my house. So in my hometown, she was 10 minutes away from me. So I'll get up at 9:30, be there at 9:50, be at the door at 9:50, and just sit there, and she would let me in because 9 times out of 10 she would have another customer. She let me in, and I sit there, and she'd be finished by 10 if it was, I should have said 10 o'clock. By the time she ready, and sometimes she'll be a little bit late. She would be a little bit late with cutting other people's hair because she talked. She's a talker. But it wouldn't be no big deal because she's there. But if you ain't there and I'm on time, I got an issue with that. So I'm be like, and I've done that before with one of my old barbers. I'm like, he ain't here. Like, can you cut my hair? Like, cause I mean, I got shit to do. Like, we ain't finna play this game. I got shit to do. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and wait for you. We made an appointment. You ain't followed through. I kept my end of the deal. I'm here early, but you still ain't ready for me. You ain't here. You ain't ready for me. So somebody finna cut my hair, right? So I got that. So now I did not like where the conversation went when he called him crazy, talked about his mental health. I'm like, that ain't cool, right? So then we see Molly and Tarian, right? So they're giving this presentation, but Molly was distracted because Curtis, her brother, kept texting her, right? But afterwards, because Torian had to basically take over. So then Torian was like, well, damn, Molly, like, I had to carry the presentation on my back. And she was like, yes, just a lot going on, right? So she tells him about her mom, being unconscious. He's like, oh, damn, I didn't know that. He says, that's kind of interesting, right? Because last year, when we were doing another project, my brother was going through cancer, and I didn't tell nobody. She's like, oh, I didn't know that. So then we see Issa once again. Issa's having a daydream, right? So Coco is there, right? She's getting something to eat. Coco comes up, and she's talking about the fact that Lawrence has moved back, and she says that they're engaged, and his dick grew about 2 inches, right? So then Cauliflower kicks her, and it was a daydream, right? So then we see Molly's brother. He calls Molly to let her know that their mom has woke up and that she'll be going home tomorrow. So then Tarian, he's come to Molly's room to bring her swag back, and Molly just, she hugs him, and it was like, oh, out of nowhere. So the last part of the episode is we got Issa and Nathan, right? So Issa has the dinner that she got, and she's telling him that she was dealing with some work drama, but Molly's mom woke up, and then he says, he is done with the shop. And she's like, why? He says, because it's just too much drama. He says he might leave LA. See, I don't know why Issa even jumped into this with Nathan, because Nathan, I know he has bipolarism, right? But he's still flaky. He's flaky. And Issa was like, so I told you I loved you the other day, and you just kind of glazed over that. Like, so you never gonna discuss that. Now, I will give Nathan a semi of a point, because Issa has been all over the place, right? She has been, but now she is committed, and you ain't showing nothing. So you guys know I told you guys I'm not team Issa and Nathan. I'm team Issa and Daniel. I know that's not gonna happen, so I'll be team Issa and Lawrence. But I'm not team Nathan at all. But that's the end of the episode, you guys. It was a good episode. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell button so you guys are notified. And when I drop anything else, share the video. And until the next one, you guys stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Remember to wash your hands, wear a mask, socially distance, be blessed. And I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.